everybody. So welcome to lunchtime chair yoga. So we're going to find a position in the chair that feels like it's reasonable. So you can sit up tall. If your chair rolls around, you want to secure the wheels of it so that it doesn't drift around on you. And then you can place your feet on the floor so that they are able to, you can, kind of keep yourself relatively stable. Spine nice and tall. And then you can either close your eyes or leave them open, but just leave them open a little bit so you can see the floor in front of you. And then concentrate on your breath. So we're gonna just kind of pull ourselves back away from our day, give ourselves a chance to disconnect from the stuff that we have to do and all the lists making and things like that. And just arrive in the present moment with the breath in this moment. Breaths. Just try to feel the breath as it drops in with the inhale. And then feel that light exhale as just air travels out of your body. And you can open your eyes. We're going to drop the chin forward. And we're just going to roll the head up and over one shoulder. Now if you've got a tender neck, go either slower or you can go a little like muscle by muscle and move yourself through. I like to do just a smooth pathway just so I can see if there's anything that feels tight or like it needs a little extra attention. If I find little tight places, I might linger with that stretch for a moment. Go back and forth. Now, we're going to do this one more time so that you're even on both sides. And then come back to the center. Let your head just stack right back up. So with your chin level, we're going to take the shoulder blades and just lift them up by the ears and then drop them. So we're just going to keep the head stable, but lift the shoulders and drop them. Lift the shoulders and drop them. One more time. Now, take the shoulder blades and draw them down your back a little bit. We're going to turn the head to look over right shoulder and the left. Just notice if you the point where you start to turn the rest of your body, just turn the head and try to keep your chin level. Notice if there's a difference on one side or the other. Maybe you can look a little further around on one side. Now we're going to come back to the center and we're going to roll the shoulder blades around, pulling them towards each other, down and forward. Feel yourself really working those upper back muscles. All right, so then we're going to shoot the shoulder blades up, push them forward, pull them down, and then bring them together. So we're going to go the other direction. All right, one more. Now, we're going to take the arm, we're going to take one arm and just give it a little bit of a shake. And then we're going to shake out the other arm. We're going to spin the wrists in circles. And then spin the wrists the other direction. Stretch out your fingers. Curl them in. Stretch them out. Curl them in. Stretch them out. Curl them in. One more time. Stretch them out big. curl them in. Then we're gonna play like kind of like imaginary piano. Just kind of work the fingers up and down. We're gonna lace the fingers together and work a little bit into the wrist in kind of a fluid way. Don't worry about it if this isn't as fluid. Just try to make your wrist bend and then the other direction, okay? As smooth as you can. If you can do it, go the other direction. Don't think about it too much. All right, so we're gonna stretch. Oh, pardon me. So we're gonna stretch out this part of the wrist by pulling the hand back. Now for me, having the straightest arm possible helps. And then we're gonna stretch this part of the forearm by pulling the wrist the other direction. And here it helps me bend the elbow a little bit. So you can experiment on your own arm. So again, we're gonna do the bottom of the arm by stretching the wrist this way. Stretch the thumb and the pinky finger away from each other, or just stretch your thumb back a bit. And then drop the hand and stretch the top of the arm, maybe with a little bit of a bend. And then give everything another shake. So one arm, and then the other. Okay, so we're gonna do some sun salutations. To do that, we're gonna slide a little bit forward on the chair so that we've got room to round the back and come forward without falling off the chair. So feet on the floor, a little bit wide in your knees. So your knees are gonna be just a little wider maybe than the edge of the chair, a little wider than the hips. We're gonna hang the arms, stretch up nice and long as you reach up. Exhale, bring your hands straight down the center and see if you can fold from your pelvis forward. So your back should be nice and straight. We're gonna let ourselves come into a cobra by lifting the heart, pulling the elbows back. Now be careful about lifting your chin, okay? Chin's along for the ride. We're gonna try to push the breastbone forward and make the upper back turn into a little back bend, like a cobra pose. And then we're gonna round the back so the back is as round as we can make it, almost like a cat on Halloween. Then you're gonna sit up nice and tall, rotate to one side, come back to the center. If you like, you can stretch right there, then rotate to the other side. We're gonna come back to the center. Now, one elbow to one thigh, opposite arm stretches over. Left elbow, left thigh, right arm stretches. Right elbow, right thigh, left arm stretches. Then we're gonna come back to the center and start again. Nice big breath, reach up. Come straight down, fold from your hips. Cobra pose, lift the breastbone forward, cat pose. Sit up tall, twist one direction. Sit up tall, twist the other direction. Sit up tall, side bend. And side bend. Coming back to start. Stretch, fold, cobra, back. Tall, twist, tall, twist, tall, side bend, back to center. We're gonna do it one more time. Nice tall, stretch your spine a little taller, fold forward, come in into cobra, round the back to cat, sit up tall, twist, sit up tall, twist, good, sit up tall, side bend, and come back to the center. So we're gonna do a few more of those little cat shapes, going forward into the cobra and backward into the cat. So just back and forth. One of my little furry coworkers is really good at these shapes. See how her back rounds? And then she can make this long shape like that. That's what we're aiming for. Yeah. Maybe we should call it ferret pose instead, huh? You cutie. All right, so back to the yoga. Round your back and swoop it forward like a ferret. Maybe don't steal things though. They're good at that too. Pretty sure they don't see it that way. All right, one more time. All right, so we're gonna sit up tall, get everything kind of neutral, and then we're gonna spin the ribs. So I call this the washing machine, but you can call it whatever you like. Just letting the arms kind of go along for the ride and turning from the ribs. It keeps getting stuck on something, I don't know what it is. One more time. All right, so we're gonna go back to that wide knee, except we're gonna go a little bit wider, and we're gonna essentially just blow ourselves from side to side. Some people refer to this as blown palm, which I think is a delightful name. Stretch over, and this is more about movement than anything else. So we just want to feel this kind of rhythmic, flowing movement. Now we're gonna pause with the next round. So when we come to the left, we're gonna pause. Now, I'm gonna take my left leg and open it a little bit more to the side and slide back. So now I have a 90-degree angle with my elbow resting on my left thigh. And it could stay just like this. I could extend this leg straight out, or I can extend the leg out to the side a little bit. This becomes a little bit more like a warrior two or a side angle pose. Now we're gonna sweep the arm up over the ear. I'm really light on my elbow here because I'm using my core muscles to keep everything connected. So we're gonna sweep the arm up over the ear and then sweep it back. If this bothers your arm, just pick a position and stay in it. Sweep it up. Some people's shoulders might be a little more sensitive. Sweep it back, sweep it up, sweep it back. We're gonna do it one more time. Sweep it up, see if you can create more length there, and then we're gonna come all the way back to where we were. So I'm gonna bend this knee, come back around, find my little position, and then we'll blow the palm back and forth a couple more times. That side will feel more familiar. This side a little less so. Good. Now we're gonna stay here. So again, I'm gonna adjust my position. So I'm gonna keep my right elbow with my right thigh. I'm just gonna slide back a little bit, turn sideways. Maybe this leg just stays at a 90-degree angle. Maybe I stretch it out straight. Maybe I bring it around the edge. And then I'm gonna sweep my arm up and sweep it back. Keep the elbow light. You're here for support, but we're using our core muscles here. Stretch out the muscles along the abdominals. It's almost like we're hugging in, you know? So put on a tighter pair of pants. Yoga pants don't require that, but other pants might. Stretch out. Come back. We got two more. Stretch out. Come back. And last time. Stretch out. Come on back. We're going to bring ourselves back to the center. And we're going to bring both legs all the way back around. And then we'll pause here and draw the legs wide enough apart that it's interesting, but not so wide that it feels dangerous in your hip joint or around your knee. And then we're going to try to fold forward. So it's possible we'll just go a little bit forward. We want to keep the back pretty straight, elbows down. So if you have to hunch your back to try to get your elbows down, go back up. And then the last possibility would be to come down to the floor. And again, if you have to hunch your back to reach the floor, go back to the elbows, because that's going to be better in the long run, is that we keep the spine nice and long. We're moving from the hip joints. We're not doing anything that is inappropriate for our connective tissue that lives at our hip, or the hip socket, or at the place where the hamstrings meet the hip bone. It would be nice to our spine and our hips. Take one more breath. And then we're going to come all the way back up and bring the legs back together. I have a furry coworker in my pants right here. That's her favorite place to hang out. So we're going to foil her and stand up. But gosh, you're cute. Gosh, you're cute. Makes it hard to stay attentive. Very distracted. Yeah. I'm not sure this is a good yoga video. All right. So we're going to stand up and do some balance work. That's our next roll. Let's try to do some balance work. So we'll stand up. We're going to stand on one side of the chair. So you get to pick which side, whichever one can work better for you. And then we're going to do a little bit of tree pose. So the leg that's closest to the chair is the one I'm going to stand on. the other leg is gonna come up. Now, if your balance is a little tricky, you can start with just balancing on your tiptoe. So your foot balances just on the toe here. Or if your balance is a little bit more secure, hold on to the chair to get started. Put your foot against your inner thigh or in your calf muscle, and then let go. And see if you can balance without the chair. Now things might get wobbly. If they do, you put your foot down to catch. This is really important because sometimes we have to train the body to recover its balance. And this is more important when you're tripping over the curb outside than it is inside. But the chair won't always be there for you. So if we can practice and help the body learn, when I'm unstable, I put the foot down in front of me or behind me, wherever it lands best, and I catch myself. This will become a body memory, second nature, okay? So that's the most important part, not that we stay really stable, but that our body is working on stability. So we're strengthening all the muscles, we're strengthening the brain connections that help us stay stable, and then we're learning to catch. Okay, so 2 more breaths. And then we're gonna come back down. Good job, yogis. Now we're gonna work a little bit on the side of the chair. I've got some space limitations, but I'm gonna do my best. So this leg that I was just standing on might be a little bit tired, so I'm gonna stand on the other leg for this part. I'm gonna hinge at my hip so that I have my back as straight as I can keep it, and I'm gonna use my chair to help support me. So I'm just gonna put my hands on either side. Then I'm gonna take that leg that I was standing on and reach that out behind me. You may not be able to see the whole thing. And then I'm gonna stretch this opposite arm out in front of me. So this is a core connection pose. It's gonna strengthen my core. If you can't hold it very long, that's fine. You can also just do the leg and not do the arm. Okay, so we're gonna hold it as long as we can, or 3 more breaths. And last breath. Now, put your hand down first, then bring your leg down so they feet meet up. Then we're gonna do a little downward dog on the chair. So I'm gonna put my hands on the end of the chair, walk backwards until I feel a stretch. You can bend your knees. We wanna feel that length in the back body from pretty much from our arms all the way to our heels, if that's available. Some people will feel it differently than others. And you can always use the back of your chair if the seat is too low. Now I'm going to come up, so I'm going to bring myself back to the point where I'm hinged, and then I'm going to stand straight up. Take your time, especially if you get a little bit dizzy. Always keep your head slightly above your hips if that's a problem for you. Don't forget to stay hydrated on hot days, yogis. All right, so we're going to walk around to the other side, and we're going to repeat those couple of poses. So we're going to start with our tree. I'm going to move my chair just a little bit. Get a little bit more room. Okay, so standing on the leg closest to the chair, putting the other leg somewhere in the tree pose process, and then letting go, and maybe I catch with my foot, okay? So just finding the balance as best you can. And if the balance is not so great today, that's okay. One day at a time. And mostly we're working on recovery anyway. So we want to recover, feel ourselves come back to the balance. And if the muscles are getting a little tired, awesome. They need that workout. Connect to your core, take 2 more breaths. Even if the breaths happen in the middle of a fall, last breath. Beautiful. So then we're going to turn toward the chair. Again, I'm going to back up so that I fold from my hip. Head's a little higher than the hips maybe. That leg I was just standing on, that's the one that's going to go out behind me, and then my opposite arm is going to go out in front. Stretch between those 2 points, and again, I could put the hand down and just work with the leg if I want to. Drop in through the sides of your waist and hold yourself steady for your core. 3 more breaths. Good, last one. And we're going to come back down, hand down, then leg. Back up, hands on the far edge of the chair, or maybe on the back of the chair. So we can take a nice long downward dog. like a downward dog on the chair. This one, if your head's a little low, just come up a little higher if you need to. Wiggle my feet back. All right, yogis, 2 more breaths. Hold steady. From our downward dog, we're going to come back around to the front of the chair, and we'll pause. Now, sitting in the front, or sitting on the front of the chair, sitting on the chair, is we're going to dangle the arms. So we just need a little bit of room, so make sure the legs kind of stay close enough to the front that you've got a little bit of room to work. So we're going to play with our shoulders a little bit. So we're going to take the arms up. Now pinkies are going to go together, palms facing up, as far as we can, lift. Then we're going to pull the shoulder blades together, bend the elbows back behind us, and then just push your hands forward, turn them back up. So coming up, pull it back, push forward. So this moves the shoulder blades through a full range of motion. So as close as we can get to this, even if your arms don't go all the way up by your ears, we're still going to get the biggest range of motion with our shoulder blades that we can get, okay? So a nice movement pattern. We'll do it twice more. Pull them back, push them forward, lift, pull them back, push them forward, good. Let your arms rinse out. Rinse out this arm, rinse out that arm. Beautiful. Now, we're gonna do a little stretch for the shoulder. Now this is gonna be, can be quite intense. So I'm gonna start with my tighter shoulder, which is my right arm. You may wanna start with the friendlier one. So we're gonna take the hand and put it behind the back. Now some people can get their hand to go all the way up like that so that their arm goes up their spine. Some of us, it's gonna be really close to the hip, okay? So we're just gonna figure out, like, where can my hand go so that then my arm can tuck in as close to my waist as possible. And when the shoulder wants to move forward, we're gonna try to keep that shoulder going down the back as close to neutral with that shoulder blade as we can get. Some people will be able to depress their shoulder blade quite far into their back and draw it towards the midline, and that's what we're aiming at. So we want to try to create some space here. My neck shouldn't be any kind of, in any sort of torqued position. I just want to feel. Now I feel the stretch on the top of my shoulder in the front. You might feel it in other places, especially if there are some really serious scar tissue or limitations here from an injury. You might even feel it on the other side because of things called trigger points that can work that way. And when we have an injury or we have old scar tissue, sometimes we can feel it in weird places. We're going to do 2 more big breaths. Now we're going to unwind this arm, okay? Take it across our body, and then the area that we are going to stretch now is going to be more around the outside back of the shoulder. So I'm going to hold on to my hand and draw my arm forward and then draw my shoulder blade back. So I get a stretch along this side. Now you can do that by holding at the elbow, holding with your hand, or you can wind your hands together, lift the elbows, draw them towards each other, and then draw the shoulder blades down into your back. So this is a more yoga kind of oriented stretch, but you could also do it this way. So really it's just what is right for your body. So hopefully we're feeling that along that outer back sort of edge of the shoulder and upper arm. We're going to take a couple more breaths, yogis. Now I'm still going to work with the same arm, my right arm. So I'm going to let go. You can give it a little shake. Then I'm going to take this arm over the top of my back. Now, if I can do it, I'm going to lift that elbow nice and high again. I'm trying to keep my head pretty neutral. Now, arms and shoulders can be a little different. I can use this hand as support if it's okay for it to be up over my head. And so then I can just hold on to the elbow. That gives me permission to reach my arm way down, my hand way down my back, and sit up a little taller. And so hopefully we're feeling that in the back of the arm a little bit. Draw your elbow towards your head as you lift your arm so that you can feel it in that tricep area. These muscles, sometimes if we don't move our arms through a full range of motion, they get tight, they get sticky. And so hopefully when we're done with this, we get 2 more breaths. We feel a little bit looser, a little more mobile in our shoulders and arms. Okay, big breath. And then we're gonna let go of everything. Again, we're gonna give this arm like just a little jiggle, a little gentle shake. And then hanging that arm down and hanging the opposite arm. Do you feel any difference in the way your arm or your shoulder feels? Now sometimes to me it feels like my arm is longer, or it feels like my shoulder has dropped farther away from my ear than on the other side. Now often when I do my really tight shoulder, it mostly just feels even. So I don't notice the difference as much as I do when I do the looser side. But notice for yourself if it feels like maybe that arm is a little longer, or you got a little more room between your shoulder and your ear. It's nice, and it's I have a pleasant sensation in my shoulder. So I'm going to do the other side pretty much the same way. If you come out of yoga poses and you feel a little bit sore or a little bit grouchy, it may be that you were being too pushy, or you need a different angle, or you want to just back off a little bit. We always need to work with the body where it is. We can't force the body to do things it's not willing to do, especially when we're talking about connective tissue areas that can have injuries in them. So we're going to take the opposite arm, hug that upper arm in, put your hand behind your back if you can. If it doesn't go behind your back, it goes on your waist. It goes wherever it can go, okay? As close to your back as you can get it. Then hug your arm in tight against your side, and we're going to sit up tall, and we're hoping that we're feeling the stretch somewhere in the top or front of the shoulder. You might feel it other places. Sometimes when we have chronic issues with areas, we'll feel the tug in other parts of our body. There are relationships, that's connective tissue relationships that we're dealing with here. We got 2 more breaths. You know how relationships are, you've got to work on them a little at a time. And be as kind as possible. All right, so we're gonna undo that arm, take it out, give it a little rinse. This time it comes across the body. And again, you can hold on and draw that shoulder down so that we're stretching this outer back part of the arm. Or if you can hold on to it with your elbow, or even hold on with your hand. My hands are slippery right now. So I'm trying to get a grip I can hold on with. Shoulder blades come down, elbows go up, and then relax your face as best you can and breathe deep. Oh, it's good, yogis. It's good, I'm telling you. One more breath. And then we're going to release that, and this arm is coming all the way up and over. I'm going to reach up and grab that elbow if I can. If I can't do that part, I'm just going to hold the arm up. If I can grab the elbow, it gives me something to work with, and I can turn that elbow in a little closer to my head and sit up taller, so I just can work with resistance here. This side, my tricep feels a little tighter than it did on the other side. The other side, the back of my shoulder's tighter. On this side, it's the tricep, which is interesting. And again, you just notice stuff about your body. That's part of the fun of doing yoga, is getting in touch with and noticing things and feeling things. Sometimes when we live in our body, we just don't notice anything. We just take it all for granted. But if we can get a little more intimate, a little bit more knowledgeable, a little more aware of our body, we might notice when things are going awry a little earlier. If we only pay attention to our body when it starts to fall apart, that's kind of a drag. You should notice it when it feels good too. All right, so we're gonna rinse everything out. And then yogis, we're pretty close to being done with our lunchtime practice, but we're gonna take a couple minutes to just slide back in the chair and again, renew our awareness of our body. So we're gonna put the feet on the floor, rest the hands in some way, you know, palms up or palms down. Close your eyes or keep them open just a little tiny bit. If you're feeling a little sleepy, you can keep them open just a little bit. And then breathe and notice. your body feels a little bit more alive. You feel a little bit more present than you did at the beginning. So thank you for joining me for chair yoga class for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Let's take a big breath together. And a big sigh. And as always, I greet you toward the rest of your day. Namaste. Enjoy your post-yoga shoulders.